Hello! Welcome to GMAT Tuesdays. My name is Kevin, coming to you from Magoosh, and we're here with this is our third installment in Real World Matters, where we deal with matters in the real world and the matters that really matter. And so this sort of builds off our last one. Our last one dealt with supply and demand. And so we're going to stay sort of in economics and talk about wages and labor and things connected to it. And I should say at the beginning here, these aren't facts or things that you're specifically tested on the test. These are just concepts and ideas that if you know, you're going to be much more comfortable when you read about them, say in a reading comprehension passage, or when you're navigating an argument in critical reasoning. Okay, so the format of today, as you can see, is I'm demonstrating my amazing artistic abilities, and I have some words for us to learn. So you can, if you want, you can pause the video here and kind of think about these images and try to figure out what words correspond to them. And if you don't care, then we're just going to dive right in. Our first word is wage. This one I feel like is pretty obvious and easy. This is wage or wages. And wages basically refers to the amount of money that someone would pay people to do some work. And it's as simple as that. This is what a person receives for doing some type of work, whatever it may be. I'm sure many of you are probably familiar with receiving a wage. Great. I'm done with that one. Next, labor. And if you're in the UK, it's probably labor. So this one might be a little more difficult. Labor refers to obviously people that work, but it can refer to the entire workforce. So all of the people available to do some job, to do some type of work. And so I drew a picture of the globe with people on it to signify all of the people in the world who can do work or do jobs. All right, excellent. Now, blue collar and white collar, these are two terms that go together and can be confusing. It is slightly idiomatic, but they're used common enough now that you should know about them. Blue collar and white collar both refer to a type of job. A blue collar job is where your collar is blue. No, just kidding. A blue collar job usually refers to some type of job that involves manual labor. It's usually a lower skill job that doesn't require any special schooling. And generally, you have to wear some sort of protective gear when you do this job. And that's actually where the term originated, is that workers would tend to wear blue denim because it would hide stains and grease the best. And so that's where the term came from. And so you probably are thinking these tools here probably refer to a blue-collar job, which they do. So the shovel, an axe, and a hammer. It looks kind of like a mallet. And then a heart, that's supposed to be a hard hat. Tried my best. Blue collar. So a blue collar job or a blue collar worker is in contrast to a white collar job or a white collar worker. This term is came into circulation in the early 1900s and refers to a job that is the opposite of blue collar job, where it requires some special schooling. You're not getting dirty when you do it. It tends to refer to administrative and managerial roles, and obviously you're probably wearing some sort of suit or nice clothing that doesn't get dirty. And so to signify white collar job, a lot of the white collar jobs today involve computers and smartphones. Although some may argue that there are some blue collar jobs that now people spend a lot of time on computers. Times are changing. But this is what I drew for white collar. And you can think of doctors, lawyers, administrative assistants, as a white-collar job. All right, union. A union is a collection of workers. And the reason that they have come together is usually to do, or how should I put this? Workers unionize to be a force with which to bargain or be some sort of political force with which to demand or ask for certain rights. And so the picture I drew for a union is this random collection of people coming together and holding hands. They don't necessarily hold hands, but they do come together, and as one big group, they have more power. When workers were just individuals, and one person wanted something, they didn't know if their other workers wanted the same thing, if they wanted better wages or if they wanted better working conditions. They didn't really know. And so binding together and unionizing allows them to be one collective force, and they can bring their demands to their boss or to their company. Which brings us to collective bargaining. This is something that unions do where they make demands or requests for some type of work improvement. And so this is one of the main benefits of being in a union, is that you can now collectively bargain with a company or with a boss, and the decision benefits everybody, all of the workers who are in the union. Collective bargaining usually takes place between a union representative, now that generally is probably some lawyers that come in, and they bargain with either the employer, the owners of the company, the corporation, or probably lawyers who represent the corporation or business. And so hopefully this sort of looks something like collective bargaining. You have the union, a representative there with his sheet of demands saying we want health care or we want better working conditions. And then you have the owner of the company standing on top of his factory, and he's supposed to have his arms kind of like this, but I didn't draw that very well. So this is collective bargaining. All right, excellent. Moving forward. Running out of pictures. So a strike. A strike is one of the tools that a union has to convince the owners of the company to listen to their demands. So, you know, it's very easy. It was very easy at the turn of the 1900s and also in the 1800s for bosses to just, if people had demands and they said, like, I want to get paid more, you would just fire everybody and bring in new workers. A strike is a way for the union to collect everyone together and say, hey, we are not going to work until our demands are met, or until the boss sits down and talks with our representative. So, should be obvious here. We've got crazy factory, smokestacks, close sign, and then the union standing outside not working. So this is one example of a strike. Just recently here in the San Francisco Bay Area, the public transit BART workers went on strike, demanding better health care and more benefits. So this is something that still happens all of the time. All right, now we're getting into kind of the end here. Labor laws. Labor laws just refers to all of the laws that have been passed to protect labor or to protect workers' interests. Here in America, there was the standard, what was it called? The Fair Labor Standards Act that was passed in 1938. And that was one bill that brought us weekends, so it made Saturday and Sunday non-working days. It also established a minimum wage. And so that's why I have this, what looks like a legislative house or a governmental building where you would pass these laws. So any laws that are connected to labor rights or labor protection would be considered labor laws. All right, last one. So the labor movement refers to this whole process, to all of these things. Labor movements, unions started to happen in the 1800s during industrialization in Europe. Really didn't reach America until the late 1800s and early 1900s. Before that, workers really didn't come together as workers. They were more broken up into their ethnic groups and into their nationality groups. But then after that, they started to unionize, started to strike, and then in 1938, they had a big bill that passed. And so we got the weekends because of it. We got a minimum wage. There were child labor laws that were passed, and other laws as well. So this is my picture for the labor movement. All right. Hopefully, you know a little bit more about wages and labor. In the labor movement. Definitely recommend doing more research on your own. This is a very, very, very superficial survey. So definitely take the time to read up more. But that brings us to the end of the video. I'll be back next Tuesday with something new. I hope you guys have a great week. As always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. We're always stoked that you're here watching our videos. So I'll see you next week.